The Department of Administration through the state, population estimate for the village is about 27,000 as of 2019, and right now we're just approaching 28,000. Based on our 2050 plans, which includes a lot of the development you see out the interstate with the industrial, the plan forecasts about 45,000 residents for the village in 2050 and about 20,000 households in the village of Mount Pleasant in 2050. The forecasted population is present in those plans, which you guys can actually pull and read if you ever need to fall asleep. Under the plan, the village residents would increase by about 18,500, or about 71%, and the total number of households would increase by about 8,500, or about 77% between 2010 and 2050. So when we're reading those forecasts, that's why developments like this are important. We're anticipating that amount of growth in the long run. Mount Pleasant is a pretty big place. It's about 34 square miles, but we still need places for people to live. So developments like this, which take the form of some duplex-style condos, are actually able to put a little bit more units on a property than perhaps would be otherwise. So it helps us hit some of those anticipated housing goals. Furthermore, the 2020 census counted about 12,600-ish housing units in the village. So to meet projected demand by 2050, we'll have to construct an additional 7,000 housing units over the next 30 years. That's about 234 housing units per year, every year for the next 30 years. So if you guys are interested in getting into the home building business, I think there's a lot of opportunity out there for you.
It's a lot of plan reviews.
Yeah, it's a lot of plan reviews, it's a lot of work,
utilities.
a lot of utilities. But yeah, that's the anticipated demand that we're seeing. So projects like this, I think, are a really good example of we're just going to have to do this in the next 30 years, basically, to get the population demand. And a lot of that growth comes from the entire corridor. So a lot of people kind of view themselves as, residents of Mount Pleasant or Racine, or even, Racine County. But a lot of the growth is actually happening through the entire Milwaukee-Chicago corridor. You drive up to Milwaukee, you drive down to Chicago, you can see all the activity that's going on the interstate. It's a lot of job growth that drives a lot of that housing growth. So, I would expect by 2050, most of that will be developed and urbanized. You won't have a ton of farm fields left, at least along the interstate in the next 30 years. So, moving on, some of the other goals and objectives that we try to hit through housing development are more related to local goals, providing places for people to live. It also provides the ability for housing to filter down through the market. So when you're adding new housing at the top of the market, that's freeing up additional units for other people to move into and sell to each other or rent from each other, things like that. It also helps grow local wealth in the community, which is something that's really important to Mount Pleasant. This is actually a local developer out of Union Grove who's putting this development together, so that local wealth generation, it's not some big company out of Chicago that's building these units. So, we're building local development capacity and local wealth generation for our local developers, and then also the people who buy the units and are able to have those homes appreciate value over time. It also provides, obviously, construction jobs. That's one of the reasons that you guys are here. You can see the stuff going out on the site. This is mostly site utility work right now. They'll get going on the home stuff pretty soon. They're starting to pull permits on going over in terms of the duplexes. They'll actually start along Stewart Road. There's 4 buildings, so 8 total units that they'll start with here. And then there's a road, as you can look at the plans in a second, that kind of curves in, and there'll be units that go on either side of that. It also helps support our employment growth. I think a good example is the new Aurora Hospital that was completed out near the interstate. They could not find places for employees to live while they were staffing that hospital. So developments like this are really important to those large employers to make sure that their employees can live close and that they can both attract and retain those employees in the long run as well.